Yeah. Hi everyone! Welcome back to this channel with me, Dina Martini. So how are you guys? How did you feel during quarantine? Feel bored, just ordinary, or feel like in heaven? And what do you do to get rid of the boredom? If you ever watched Tangled movie, there's a part where Rapunzel sings the song Just Wonder When Will My Life Begin. It can be an inspiration to get rid of boredom while staying at home. In the previous video, I have told you what I did during quarantine, and one of which is reading, and I have also told what books that I read and that I really like. Yep, The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. But from the 6th series, I just finished the first book, and now I'm on my way reading the second one. So in this video, I will tell you why I like this book and the part that I like about it. But this is only for the first series, so without any further ado, let's get started. The School for Good and Evil is a book that tells about the occurrence of fairy tales. This book was released in 2013. This book is thick, about 500 pages, and has 30 chapters. This book is very interesting and the story is very exciting. And do you know? This book has a trailer like a movie trailer. So now I'll show you the trailer of the book. Let's watch together.
In the forest primeval, a school for good and evil. Two towers like twin heads, one for the good, one for the wicked. Try to escape, you will always fail. The only way out is through a fairy tale.
So that was the trailer of The School for Good and Evil. What do you think? Very awesome, right? Each book has its own trailer, so if you want to see trailers from the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth book, you can look for it on YouTube. So this book tells the story of Agatha and also Sophie. Sophie is very beautiful girl with a clean and smooth white face. She likes pink so much. She values the thing that she try to be a good person. She wears justice, all the kind of stuff, and very obsessed with being a princess and has a prince. And Agatha is complete opposite. She likes wearing black. She has never concerned with her looks. She lives alone with her mother in the graveyard. She doesn't like people in general. In their village, everyone thinks she's the evil one. The two girls are good friends and hang out a lot, despite their differences. But for 5 years, mysterious happenings have occurred in the village. On a certain day, every year, 2 kids go missing, stolen away by the schoolmaster. The reason behind his name is, in the village people's fairy tale books, where they notice something strange. All the kids ever stolen away were in the books, one the villain and the other the hero. So they came to believe that when 2 kids disappeared, the schoolmaster takes them away to a school, split into 2 castles, one for good and one for evil. Here they are dropped into their school of fate to learn either good or evil. Sophie wants to be taken by the schoolmaster to learn the ways of a princess, whereas Agatha just wants to her friends and her to be left totally alone. And yeah, the two girls are taken by the schoolmaster, but things do not go as a plan. When the two girls are swept into the endless woods, they find their fortunes reversed. Sophie dumped in the school for evil and Agatha in the school for good. In the school for good, the student call ever, and the school for evil, the student call never. Okay, now let's we talk about the part I like. The first is chapter 3, the great mistake. This part tells about each school, or can be called an introduction to the school, where here students are invited to tour the school and share lesson schedule. The school for evil is given a lesson uglification, hatchment training, curses and death traps, history of villainy, lunch, special talents, and surviving fairy tale. The school for good is given lesson beautification, princess etiquette, animal communication, history of heroism, lunch, good deeds, and surviving fairy tale. In this part, Sophie always said that she was good and she was in the wrong school and she should be in the school for good, but the teacher and the guards say that the schoolmaster's choice is never wrong. Sophie always tries to exchange school with Agatha, but she always fails. While Agatha always tried to go home with Sophie, but Sophie always refused. Next, chapter 9, 100% talent show. This part tells about the talents that each student has, but Sophie said that she don't know her talent, she don't have a talent, she don't like her talent, or she want to trade talents with the Uti Queen. One by one, the students showed their talent. When Hester showed her talent, she aimed for Sophie and like she want to kill her. When the Hester's demon appeared and attacked Sophie, Sophie's friend and her teacher told Sophie to use her talent, and Sophie suddenly spun to the window and let out the gorgeous whistle for a kind noble animal to save her life. Black was smashed through the window and swarmed the demon on cue. She whistled again, but now bats stormed in. Sophie whistled louder, higher, but then came a cloud of bees, hornets, and locusts. Hester had her last breath. Sophie screamed out, "Stop!" and the swarm went dead still, like scolded children. They whimpered obediently and fell out the window in the dark cloud. And the teacher said, "Look like a princess, act like a princess, but a witch." Next, chapter 11, the schoolmaster riddle. This part tells about Sophie and Agatha, who try to return to their village by meeting the schoolmaster. In this chapter, we can find out that in fact their fairy tale is controlled by a pen called Storian. Next, chapter 17, the Emperor's New Clothes. This part, Sophie becomes very beautiful, fashionable, and sexy. She even made her own class like a beauty class, but for never students. And I think her appearance beats the ever students. She do that so her prince Tedros thinks she is good, so Sophie can have Tedros. Next, chapter 21, Trial by Tale. This is very exciting chapter. This chapter tells about all students who want to kill Sophie during a fairy tale test. When Sophie enters the forest, Agatha comes as a bird and drops a letter telling Sophie to go to the tulip garden so that Sophie is not killed. Sophie follows where Agatha goes. Here are many obstacles that must be faced by Agatha and Sophie. To get to the tulip garden by trail, she'd have to cross the turquoise thicket, then the pumpkin patch, and finally the sleeping willow busk. As she followed Agatha, Sophie could see every scratch and scar on the lesson trunks. On the trip, they met with Harpy, the child eater. While screaming sinisterly, they punched and Sophie dodged under the wing, while the screaming monster were after her. Their ugly face turned angry. Quickly she hid behind the buses, but in every corner of the bus lit by blue light. The harpies grabbed the Sophie's neck, claws pierced his back, and the scream her body was lifted off the ground. The harpy opened their mouths in front of her face. Shrubs suddenly dark. A cry of confusion, the claws let go and the Sophie fell to the ground. Agatha tried to help Sophie by distracting them, but the monster chased Agatha. Then Sophie hit the head of the monster until the monster died. And then Sophie heard a voice for help coming from a scarecrow beside her. The scarecrow lifted their hooks and heard of the Sophie stop. She held her last breath and closed her eyes. Agatha helped Sophie. And then Sophie collapsed into the waterwood path. Sophie leaves and follows Agatha while shivering, trembling to realize that her heart can still beat even though she is scared to death. Until finally, Sophie and Agatha disguised themselves into thin blue pin buses and kept hiding, waiting for the sun to rise. Then Tedros came and fought with Hester and managed to defeat Hester. But suddenly the knife rose above the shoulder of the Tedros and stabbed his heart, but saved by Agatha. Tedros was disappointed with Sophie and thought that Sophie had cheated, until finally the sun rose and Agatha turned into a bird and go. Then Sophie and Tedros were crowned winners. I really like this part until Sophie and Tedros can win the fairy tale test with the help of Agatha. Chapter 27, Promise Unkept. This is also my favorite one. Into the theater of tales slunk a figure shrouded in a black hood. Footsteps quiet. Snakeskin kept trailing behind like a wedding train. Keep scales glimmering in flame light. Head bowed like a bat's. Pale fingers slithered from under the cape and pulled the hood back. That is Sophie. Her nose and chin marred by warts. Patches of white speckled her dyed black hair. Her emerald eyes were now murky gray. Her skin thin enough to see veins. Yeah. Sophie becomes the real wizard. With extremely powerful and extraordinary magic, she destroyed the Theater of Tales and injured all students. And the last is chapter 29 and 30. This part tells about Sophie who makes the ball for Never student and traps Agatha so Tedros hates her. And in this part, there is also a war between Ever and Never. Sophie bewitched Never to be beautiful and handsome like Ever, and bewitched Ever to be ugly like Never. In the last part, Sophie and Agatha unite to kill the schoolmaster. When they thought the schoolmaster was dead, they both disappeared. But this is not the end, because there is still a continuation in the second book, A World Without Prince. Well, I really like fantasy stories like this. When I read this book, my brain like watching a movie. I can imagine how the expression of the characters, the adventure, and everything. I really hope this book will be made into a movie. It would be very cool. I don't really like Sophie because I think she's too spoiled and like she can't do anything. But when she showed that she was definitely evil, I think that's really cool. I like Agatha because I think she's smart. There is a part where Agatha not only learns about good, but she also learns about evil to help Sophie. But I don't really like when Agatha always think about Sophie. If you feel bored, you can try to read this book. When I read this book, I forget the time because the story is very exciting. This book is not only about adventure, but also love stories in it. Sometimes you feel touched, sometimes tense, sometimes afraid, sometimes feel excited. So you have to try read this book to get rid of the boredom while stay at home. So I think it's enough for the video. And don't forget to click like, comment and subscribe because it's free. And still stay at home. See you in the next video. Bye bye.